Hey agents, and welcome to Shadow Gaming. So I did want to let you guys know how the legendary build works and just kind of how I've been running it. I saw a few other YouTubers do this build video and they do it pretty good justice. I do see a few different things on it, different options as well. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys what I've found to be the best. I'm sure someone in the comment section below can find maybe a better variant of it. But just kind of running with other players in Legendary and being able to talk to other players on Reddit as well. This is kind of what I've found to be the best variant of this build. So I kind of wanted to show you guys exactly what I've been doing and just kind of what I personally like to do as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. This build is going to make you be able to shred through Legendary content, heroic content, and you can kind of just sit back a little bit. You do need to fire still, and I've run this build with tech support instead of perfect combined arms as well, and it's really good still. So there's options for you guys if you just don't want to be shooting all the time as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the primary weapon that I use. I always use the Pestilence. I enjoy using the Pestilence, and it applies that 100% weapon damage debuff. So I just personally like it. And the main part of this loadout, this build, is going to be the Surge. Or if you just have any other weapon with Spike on it, then that's going to be the main part of the build. You want to get that 25% skill damage increase for that 8 seconds that it's going. So just definitely keep that in mind, as you're not really going to be using your other weapon really at all. And you can always put Spike on your pistol as well if you want to swap through weapons or if you somehow run out of ammo. But I never really have. I always just run with the Surge and I basically stick with it the whole way through. But it's up to you guys. It's a very important part of the build though, because you're getting 25% skill damage for 8 seconds. That's incredibly important. But you can still run it without, I guess. It's really recommended that you get that extra 25% skill damage or 20% with just regular Surge. You're also going to be run the Technician skill or specialization, because you get that extra 10% skill damage from the specialization at the end of the tree. So I'll go ahead and show you guys that in case you might not know about it. Right over here you get 10% skill damage increase, and as well, what other people might not mention is you do get the Technician laser pointer, which is going to pulse an enemy when you aim at him, and it doesn't ever seem to go away. Also, you can run this build with Spotter instead of kinetic momentum or glass cannon, and because with Spotter they're pulsed, it increases your skill damage by quite a bit. And as far as I know, it's multiplicative, so it increases the damage by just so much. Now, I don't know if it's better than kinetic momentum or glass cannon, but it probably is. I've heard conflicting things, but for the most part, no matter what, you're going to be getting anywhere from 200,000 to 300,000 damage with your assault turret. So either way, it's going to be shredding a lot. So definitely start off with Technician specialization, and then you're going to want to get 3-piece hardwired. And on hardwired, you always run it with 10% skill damage and skill tier. And ideally you always want a mod for the yellow batteries, so any sort of electronics mod you're gonna always want. Like right here I have 11% skill haste. You're gonna also want that on your chest and backpack, but it's not necessary. My build was somewhat slapped together until I find better pieces, so there are some stuff that you don't want on this build, but it still works fairly well. Alright, for the chest piece, I have skill damage right here, and kinetic momentum is the biggest part of this build. You don't really want the red stuff. You want all skill damage, skill haste. You don't really want critical hit damage, critical hit chance, any reds or blues. So always try to get them all with skill damage, skill haste on every single gear piece. But for right now, this is actually working really well. I'm getting about 200 to 250k damage on the turret, so that's still a lot, and it shreds through content really fast, even with some of these mess ups right here. Anyway, with kinetic momentum, you're going to get that 15% skill damage, and I believe 30% skill repair whenever you start proccing your skills. So you're going to want kinetic momentum, but you can also run glass cannon. And I've switched these up and tried them out quite a bit. That's why this one is changed instead of maxing out skill damage or anything, because I was testing which talents would be best. I do not like glass cannon. I get shredded way too fast. So I hated glass cannon since it came out. But kinetic momentum and spotter are the best to me. With glass cannon, you can get probably, you get a little bit more skill damage. So if you want to go with glass cannon, go for it for sure. I like kinetic momentum the best. And over here, you want one-piece wyvernware. So this whole build is 2-piece Hana-U, 1-piece wyvernware, 3-piece hardwired with the surge spike or perfect spike and technician specialization. So you want that wyvernware because you get that 10% skill damage, and then just max everything out. You would want this to be skill haste if you can, but the skill damage is the most important. And then for backpack, I just use the force multiplier, max out skill damage as much as possible. And you would want a battery mod for this for skill haste, but like me, I don't have it. So perfect combined arms, shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. That does so much extra damage, it's ridiculous. I love that talent. At first I didn't like it, but once you find out that the assault turret draws so much aggro that they barely even shoot at you, then you're gonna realize how much this is useful, because you can pop out and shoot a lot. And obviously they're gonna shoot back at you sometimes, but they focus mainly on your turret that you drop. And this build is a lot about, of course, the skill damage that the turret does and your drone, but it's also really heavily relied on where you place the turret. So you don't want to just throw it out right in front of you, right on top of your cover. That's exactly where you don't want it. You want to throw that out to where it draws aggro away from you, and it's in a big open space where you can just start shredding all the enemies and they can run to it and try to destroy it. And they always fail because it's almost indestructible. I've never had it be destroyed even by a heavy, but you want to throw it out in a good spot. And after you use this build, after so many missions, you'll finally understand a good place to place your turret so that this talent, you're able to utilize it to its full potential, where you can pop out and shoot enemies as much as possible and activate that perfect spike on the surge weapon. So you're getting all that extra skill damage, and you're shooting them with your weapon, and you're getting perfect combined arms to proc. It ends up being a complete slaughter fest. And when I run the turret, I always run with the drone. I saw Clint Fairwoo, his video on it, where he runs it with the Artificer Hive. I personally don't like that. I would rather have a striker drone out there doing extra damage and flying around, especially in a 4-man group where they're chasing the NPCs all over the place and keeping all the NPCs out in the open for other DPS players or any other players to focus damage on them and burst them down. That striker drone does a lot of things at once. It's always damaging the NPCs and chasing them out, in areas where it's open and you can open fire on them. So I always recommend running the striker drone with the assault turret. I did also run this build with the sniper turret. It definitely works good in PvP. And of course, in PvE, it works well as well. But the assault turret is just so much better, and you don't have to manually snipe each target. So that's why I always just run the assault turret from now on. But the sniper turret was pretty fun. It's just not as good as the assault turret skill. So yeah, guys, this is basically it for the build, for the legendary build. Anyway, guys, remember, you just want the 3-piece hardwired, which is super easy to get. You probably already have it. Max them out on skill damage on each one. And then you want 2-piece Hana-U, 1-piece wyvernware. Run it with the surge with technician specialization. And remember, you want kinetic momentum and perfect combined arms. You can also run this build with tech support on the backpack, and you can also run that with glass cannon on the chest piece or spotter on the chest piece as well. There's all sorts of things you can mix up, but this has just kind of been the thing that I run with and find the best for me. But remember, you have those options if you want to try those as well. I just think that this is the best build variant of this assault turret drone specialization build. And remember, this is how you clear legendary content as well. I always cleared it with the all red DPS build with status effect as 1. But if you have 4 players running this build, you're going to get it done way quicker than 1 CC 3 DPS. So definitely get that build together and let people know, hey, I'm ready to do legendary missions. I got the assault turret and striker drone build, and they'll want to add you right away, and you'll clear that legendary content in maybe 30 minutes or so and get your bighorn and all the stuff you need to get from legendaries and have fun, guys. All right, and please subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. Anyway, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, agents.